Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Nvidia daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Nvidia, let's go over what has happened to the stock, what we can expect moving forward, and all of that good stuff. So as per usual, if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you do enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, etc., I do share my thoughts with my members every single day the market is open. In my YouTube membership, that link is down below for just $3 a month, mainly on Tesla stocks, sometimes other stocks, or for $5 a month, you get access to everything in the first year plus Nvidia daily updates, as well as the market is trading. But jumping into it, Nvidia closing the day with a beautiful 6.5% rally, almost at $116 per share, which obviously compared to the market is going to be, a pretty good outperformance. So what does this mean for Nvidia? Is Nvidia out of the woods yet? Is it ready to go to all-time highs, or is there still some issues or some concerns we can say? Well, personally speaking, I think there's a little bit of concern still that can be alleviated, but I'd rather see them alleviated for or just in general, really, I guess you can say. So Nvidia obviously came down to these levels down here, got a nice little rally off of the bottom of this channel, which is obviously a nice sign, and it officially closed naturally a higher candle than yesterday's daily high, all of which are good signs. Going over to the 1 hour time frame. If Nvidia, by the way, if PPI comes in tomorrow, by the way, a little bit hot, I think Nvidia will come down to about 112, 113. If it does, as long as it pretty much holds at around 112, we'll say 111 to 113, a bit easier. That range, that $2 range roughly. As long as that range holds, I actually think it's still looking pretty solid. However, regardless, the point is the fact that Nvidia, since this very aggressive sell-off has begun, right here you can see the cloud has been pretty much red the entire time. It officially not only has turned back to green, which is a good start for sure, but it's actually getting pretty close to getting both of the EMAs, the 8 and the 21, to cross over the white line here, which is the 50 EMA. Once these bad boys can cross above the 50 EMA as well, assuming Nvidia can continue holding up this kind of bullish momentum, which we'll see how PPI treats it, of course, that would be a good sign as well. That would be a pretty damn good sign for Nvidia, and I think from there, it should make its way back up to about 118 or so, which is not that much higher from here. But the reason I say only 118 is because my issue right now with Nvidia is still that kind of daily and weekly perspective where, I really need to see it break above, again, about 118 and close above 118, honestly, by Friday. Or else, there's still concerning signs, right? I'm still a little bit I'm not fully convinced just yet. Why? Well, again, this level here, we already rejected, before, number one. This was a massive support here, number two. So naturally, this area is going to continue acting as a resistance, right? This, again, 116 to 119, somewhere like that, right? That $3-ish range. That's number one. So we need to break above that. We're obviously entering the cloud on the daily, which can provide some turbulence as well. So let's see how that plays out naturally. So there's still work to be done on the daily time frame. The 1 hour is showing some good signs and potentially of what's to come, but when you look at the daily, well, there's obviously still work to be done. So the 1 hour kind of gives you an early glimpse at potentially what's to come. But at the end of the day, the daily still is king essentially over the 1 hour. So this area plus this trend line right here, this kind of red trend line right over here, this one here, it is a massive area of support that, at least in the past, that has bounced us several times, and we kind of even briefly held it over here temporarily before we officially collapsed down below it. So this area will also, combined with this sideways essential horizontal resistance, will be naturally a resistance, right? That is going to be something that we need to break past on Nvidia, right? That's going to be a very important level to break. So that's something else I'm watching for as well on Nvidia, right? Crucial levels to watch for. But it's a bit cleaner on the weekly. The weekly is where, again, I also have concerns. Now, again, these can be alleviated. This could be fixed essentially, and we could actually potentially get a very bullish reversal, but we're not there just yet, right? We're not there just yet. But what makes us there? What puts us there, right? Again, I'm looking at this kind of with the glass half empty. I'm looking at this in a more cautious approach because, again, I'm looking at it as a wedge that ended up being broken down. And you can see on the weekly, as we came up to this area right here, pretty much on today's high roughly, this kind of 117, we'll say, to 118-ish, like that general range, right? You can see as we came up into it, we have the 50 EMA rejecting us so far, which of course has supported us in the past. You can see here, right, these three weekly candles, but also the trend line, right? They're both going to be acting as a weekly resistance here. Like this needs to not only get surpassed, but more importantly, in my opinion, the weekly candle needs to close above these levels, essentially above, 117, 118, like something like that. Like that needs to get closed above. If that happens, I'll view this as a pretty big false breakdown, which would be bullish, obviously, because, you know, usually if you have a false breakout or breakdown, it usually snaps back in the opposite direction. As an example, you know, Google's a pretty good example of that, right? Where I had this massive, you know, break, you know, I had this resistance here. Look at this, it broke back above it. Earnings happened, false breakout, and then it just sold off aggressively. To be fair, you know, the market also sold off, but nonetheless, the point is that this was essentially a false breakout, and look how aggressive the opposite slingshot effect essentially was. Same idea on Nvidia here, but to the opposite direction. The issue is just the fact that, you know, we're not there just yet, right? We need to get that closure, and the fact that the 21 and the 9 and the 8 EMA on the weekly are also turning red tells me that the momentum has definitely faded. The momentum on the Nvidia stock, despite today's jump, still is a little bit, you know, concerning, to say the least. Concerning. Now, the good news is the fact that if Nvidia can close back above this kind of 117, 118-ish level, reclaim the 50 EMA, reclaim this trend line, yeah, you know, this is a bit of an issue, the fact that the EMAs have crossed bearish up here. But to me, it's only like a real red flag is if they cross bearish and also get below the 50 EMA. That's when it's like really concerning, right? Because this could still be a false breakdown with the market being spooky dooky right now. That is a possibility still. So I'm not fully writing it off just yet. This is still salvageable, I guess is what I'm trying to say for the bulls. But I need to see the proof of that. And, you know, the proof in the pudding, or proof in the pudding. I need to see that, right? That needs to be done. So yeah, let's see how this actually, you know, plays out moving forward for Nvidia. But though it's very crucial by Friday to see a close above, again, 117, 118. To me, at least, it's important. It's very, very important. But again, I'm looking at the glass half empty in a market like this. Why? Because, well, you can take this parallel trend line to the top over here. You can see, and instead place it like this, and you can see that we're actually arguably still very much contained. There's no real concern just yet in terms of being inside this large rising channel, not a wedge channel, right? And it would look something like this instead. I'm personally not looking at it like this, mainly because, you know, the wedge to me I personally think the wedge makes a little bit more sense, especially when you combine it with the EMA breakdown. That to me makes a little bit more sense. So regardless, you know, even if you look at the channel, like I still want to see the 50 reclaimed, because the Nvidia has to close a weekly candle below the 50 in literally years, like quite literally years. You know, the first time it happened was all the way back here in like 2022. It's been like literally like 3 years essentially, or about 3 years, we'll say. So yeah, I mean, again, that, you know, that just needs to be done, right? That needs to be done for Nvidia. Can it happen? Absolutely. Can we get back above it and close the week above 117, 118? Absolutely. That is possible. That is possible. But I'm going to assume it's not going to happen until proven otherwise. I'd rather see it happen. So those are the main things I'm looking at for Nvidia, right? This is why this level right here that we're very damn close to right now is vital for the stock, in my eyes. Again, I could be wrong. That's just my opinion, right? That's just how I look at it. That's my perspective. Could be completely wrong. Who knows? But that's my perspective. That's what I'm looking at. And that's what I need to be convinced that, you know what, this could be very bullish, and actually, instead of potentially right now looking potentially very bearish. And on top of that, if Nvidia closes above essentially 118, this could also potentially print a bullish piercing candlestick pattern, which is going to be very nice to see, which looks something like this, where you have a nice big fat red candle, and then you have a bullish candle that closes at or above 50% of the previous candle's, of the 50% mark of the previous candle's body, essentially, more or less. And that's pretty much what this would print if we close, let's say, somewhere up here, right? This would also print a bullish piercing candle, which would be very, very bullish moving forward for Nvidia. So, you know, it is pretty much at do or die here. The stock is at do or die. Either it rejects here, and, you know, it's going to go lower for sure. It'll go lower, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see 90s easily, easily 90s in my opinion. But if we break past this, if we close above 117, 118, if we print the bullish piercing, if we have this false breakdown, if we reclaim the 50 EMA, all of which are pretty much at that same level of about 118 roughly, that's 2 thumbs up. That is 2 thumbs up, and I think Nvidia should soar to, most likely, honestly, fresh all-time highs. I don't know, maybe by June, something like that. So yeah, let's see. That's my thoughts. That's what I think. Let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.